there we go. We are currently being live streamed, y'all. So if you do not want your face on YouTube, now is the time to take your video, turn your video off. Welcome to Sorting Soup. We are so very glad that you have found yourself with us. Normally, we are just so pleased as punch that you're with it. Well, no, I will say we are always pleased as punch to find you with us. We're glad you're here. Welcome, 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 welcome. Um, but today's a little different. Today is a very different day. But I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself anyway. Let's go on to yeah. I'm Cecelia, and we do have Dr. Melissa. I'm not sure she's here today, but we do have Dr.
Mhm.
Chris. Dr. Chris is with us today, and we do have Rebecca, and we have Beth, and we have Merle, and Boot Money. I don't know if Boot Money's with us today. We do have to wrangle him. We do. But we have Stephanie, and we have lots of other people who are going to be helping us out today. But what's different about today, y'all, what's different and special about today is that today is the start of our book club and a specific focus on book club slash self-care. So we're going to get started a normal way, real quick.
Okay, so the normal way we get started on these is I walk through kind of the logistics. I'm going to mainly talk about what this group is about, and and then we will move on to our next thing. So to introduce our group for anybody who's a newcomer, welcome. Um, this group is exciting. We have Mistrix. Very fun. Um, this group is a space for emotional processing, um, for the fire hose that is our reality these days. Every day there is a new headline, a new crazy thing that's going on. So this is a group where we get together and talk about those things. And usually we try to extract some insights, some wisdom, and brainstorm action items. For the next, let's call it 90 minutes, our a lot of our discussion today is going to be focused on Project 2025, and our action item is probably going to be something having to do with self-care because we all need it. Um, Carrie, yes, fire hose or sewer hose. Yeah, amen, buddy. So we meet on Thursdays at 5 Central. So you are here, you're right on time. In terms of group norms, um, as we get to the discussion section or the reading section, in order to participate or come off mute, please raise your digital hand. The way you do that is you are going to go to your Zoom menu, find the React button, which has a heart, and you're going to click that React button and then find the raise hand option in there. And you'll click that, and then someone will unmute you when it's your turn to contribute. We do ask that folks keep their commentary fairly short and focused, usually 2 minutes or less. If you want to say more, you can always raise your hand again and come back and continue your comments. Keep your comments civil and constructive. No spamming the chat. So if you've posted something once, that's sufficient. We don't have to, repeat over and over again. Um, and again, some of this stuff is pretty heavy. It can be very depressing. It can be very frustrating. So if you find yourself getting into a bad headspace, feel free to step away, take a break, and then come back when you're ready. Okay, I think that's it as far as logistics go. So I will hand it back to Cecelia.
Okay, y'all. So today we are starting this bad boy, Project 2025. And don't worry if your book hasn't come in yet, because we are just going to be reading through the introduction today. Here's what, here's how this book club is going to go. So right now, I'm going to go through how I'm going to talk you just through the outline of how our book club's going to go and how that we're going to read through um, the Project 2025 Survival Guide. And this thing has 13 chapters. So we'll probably go 2 chapters a week, and that'll give us 6 weeks. We'll have that 13th chapter probably as a round off week. And when we do that, if we go through 2 chapters a week, that'll give us a chance to really dig in and maybe do some extra research each week if we need to. And we'll be able to answer any questions that you have, or even, again, do extra research that we would need to do. Also, it gives us a chance to do our other book, Mr. Brittlestar, which is definitely needed lessons from cats for surviving fascism. Because this is part of the self-care. We need to balance, not just focusing on all the bad, but we need the balance. So in order to make it through the big book, I thought we would definitely need the little book. So yeah, that's how I thought we would make our way. So tonight, I thought we would go through and perhaps call on certain people who did have their books. So if you would be willing to read sections of the introduction, go ahead and raise your hands, and we will make our way through the introduction. Okay? Um, uh, Patrice, if you would be willing to read just the day after tomorrow, why this book exists, that first section to an end right before what is Project 2025, that would be great. Thank you.
And just for reference, before we get started, um, I have put the PDF of this into the chat. There
Right.
is an executive summary for the first 2 pages. The full text starts on page 3. So not to confuse anyone, but you can find the PDF in the chat if you need it.
Forgot about that. Sorry. Thank you, Rebecca. Oh, Patrice, unmute yourself. There you go.
Now I
That'll
can. Thanks. Okay.
help.
I'm so sorry. Celia, where am I starting on the introduction? I apologize.
Yes, you are. You're starting
Okay.
introduction the day after tomorrow, why this book exists, and if you could just read until what is Project 2025.
Okay, I don't see the day after tomorrow. I just see introduction and then I see what is Project 2025. I
Oh,
don't see the day after tomorrow, but I have this version from Amazon. Sorry.
I don't think that's the same book.
Are you
oh,
kidding me? A mandate for authoritarian leadership?
That is the actual text of Project 2025, I believe. We're reading the
Oh.
Project 2025 Survival Guide.
survival guide.
Which I ordered and they sent me this. Oops. Okay, sorry, I can't read. You don't want to read have me read the
Well, thank you
introduction.
for being a volunteer nonetheless, Patrice.
Well,
Okay,
hey,
thank you.
if you can open the PDF from the chat,
Yes, I sure can. All right, and Rebecca sent it. Oh, did Beth send this? Yeah, right here. Okay, I can read it from here. Let me see. Open.
and
Rebecca,
then
I
it's
think you put it in our
in
Here it is.
both places.
oh, you did. Okay.
Here, I'm gonna
Yes.
open file. 1 second. 1 second, you guys. Sorry about that. Okay, all these pictures.
That's all
Mm.
right. People are still coming in.
Okay.
Yeah. And the
Wait,
full text starts on page 3.
Okay.
Rebecca, the one that's in at 510 is the condensed version. So is it further up in the chat that the full one is?
No, the full text starts on page 3.
Okay, page 3. All
Mm.
right. So this thing, please forgive me. How do I open it? I'm attempting to. I can turn it around and upside down. I don't see where I can open it. Where are my little?
I don't know.
Yep, it's
Did
not
you
allowed.
did you download?
Did you download it?
Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to take it out of here and I'm going to, you guys, I'm so sorry that it's such an important meeting. Let me
Why
try.
don't we,
In the meantime,
yeah, why don't we let somebody else start us off and maybe Patrice can put her hand back up and help us out with reading an, another
Another
section.
section.
be great.
Yeah. All right, Beth. How about you
Okay.
start us off?
Okay, so Project 2025 Survival Guide. Here is the introduction. The Day After Tomorrow, Why This Book Exists. There are moments in history when the trajectory of a nation changes not through war or revolution, but through the slow, deliberate recalibration of laws, values, and institutions. The United States today finds itself at the threshold of such a moment. Project 2025, while cloaked in technical language and bureaucratic frameworks, is not merely a proposal for government reform, it is a calculated attempt to rewire the very foundations of American democracy. This book exists because the implications of that project, if fully realized, could define the lives of generations to come. This is not alarmism, it is documentation. In the past, political programs came and went, debated in public forums, and softened by bipartisan compromise. But Project 2025 is different. It is the culmination of years of ideologically driven planning by a coalition of policy strategists, legal theorists, and political operatives united under a common cause to fundamentally reshape the American state from within. Its goals are vast and its methods are deceptively legal. What makes Project 2025 particularly dangerous is not just what it proposes, but how it intends to implement those changes stealthily, rapidly, and under the guise of legitimacy. This book exists because the mainstream conversation has failed to fully grasp the scope and depth of this threat. The term Project 2025 has been dismissed by some as a fringe concern or a speculative exercise. That miscalculation is precisely what allows movements like this to grow. They count on our disbelief. They rely on the fatigue of a public exhausted by political drama and misinformation. They exploit our distraction. We live in a media environment that rewards spectacle over substance. Meanwhile, tectonic shifts in power dynamics unfold in silence in legal language buried in hundreds of pages of policy memos and transition manuals. Project 2025 is one such shift. It promises a radical restructuring of the executive branch, the elimination of institutional safeguards, the centralization of authority, and the silencing of dissent. It reimagines the role of religion in government, the rights of women and minorities, and the function of public education. Most crucially, it reframes what it means to be an American citizen, recasting the social contract along ideological lines. This guide does not aim to tell you what to believe. It is not written for partisan persuasion. It is written because the facts demand attention. The authors of Project 2025 have made no secret of their intentions. Their documents are public. What has been lacking is a clear, rigorous, and unflinching breakdown of what those intentions mean in practice and what kind of country they would produce. The urgency of this book is grounded in the timing. The project's name is not accidental. The year 2025 is not a distant future. It is the next presidential inauguration. The policies outlined are not hypothetical. They are ready for deployment the moment power changes hands. The architects of Project 2025 have designed a machinery that can be switched on from day one. This includes a presidential transition project that explicitly outlines how to purge the federal workforce, reshape the legal apparatus, and install ideologically loyal figures across every major agency. In other words, this is not about governing, it is about taking control. Our political system was built on checks and balances, but those mechanisms assume good faith actors who operate within the boundaries of constitutional norms. Project 2025 operates with a different logic, that of domination by design. The book exists to expose that logic. Why does this matter? Because democracy is not self-sustaining. It requires active maintenance. It depends on transparency, accountability, and civic engagement. When those elements erode through apathy, misinformation, or manipulation, the path to autocracy is no longer a dramatic rupture, but a subtle transition. Project 2025, if successful, will not look like a coup. It will look like business as usual until it's not. The implications go far beyond Washington. They reach into classrooms, courtrooms, hospitals, and households. They will affect the rights of workers, the autonomy of women, the visibility of LGBTQ plus people, the independence of the judiciary, and the neutrality of the press. This book will dissect each of these domains, but it begins with a simple premise. Authoritarianism can emerge through legal means when democratic institutions are systematically weakened, and that is precisely the blueprint we are confronting. This guide is not a prediction of doom. It is a tool for prevention. By the time the changes proposed by Project 2025 become visible, it may already be too late to reverse them. That is why awareness must come before impact. This book exists to give you a map, not just of threats, but of the terrain of which those threats are advancing. You will find no I don't know how to say it, hyperbole here.
Hyperbole.
Hyperbole. Hyperbole. I was doing so good. Just facts, analysis, and historical parallels. The intent is clarity. The goal is empowerment. The risk is real. And the clock is ticking.
Dun, dun, dun. Good job,
That was
Deb.
really well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Does anybody have any questions, or can we move? Or if you do have any questions, I forgot to mention that. If y'all have any questions, you can actually put them in the chat. You can put question in all caps in front and put your question in the chat that way, or you can raise your hand. I know I said to everybody, raise your hand if you want to talk and read. That might make it a little difficult, but we can do both, I'm sure. No? We got both? Okay, good. Yes? Oh, does Death do part? Oh, yes. Oh, Beth, do you do parties? Ooh, ooh.
Hey.
Hey. All right. Who wants to read next? Constance, you had your hand up, or you want to read next? Here, let me get you.
Ooh.
I just want to comment before I do, I'm put it in the chat. As we're seeing this play out, daily, the threats that are inherent in this text. But I'm so glad we're reading this after Tuesday. I would just feel, totally despondent, I think, if we were not. But I do find hope in Tuesday. So,
Okay.
what is Project 2025?
Yep.
Yes, real quick though, Amy S asked who is the author and who is the background of the author. Okay. Brandy Allen Walker is the author, and do we want to, okay, hold on. Let me look it up real quick. I don't let's see. Yeah, there's that. Alan Walker, and actually, yeah, Walker. He's okay. Walker. Oh, there's a few of them up here. Wait, no, Randy Allen Walker, author of Project 2025 Survival Guide. Is the okay, what you must know before it's too late. What is his background? Author background. According to available literary sources, that's his only listed work. His book provides an unbiased examination of Project 2025, discussing its chapters, real-life consequences, and critical questions aimed at exposing potential threats. That's from Goodreads. No additional books or biographical details currently available on major literary platforms, suggesting that this is his sole published work to date.
Hey, there might be a like about the author inside the book.
Yeah, I looked for
Um,
that, but
okay,
there was not much available other than what is about the book.
okay. Well, sounds
Uh,
like we can come back to that maybe.
yeah. Okay, sorry about that. Constance, would you like to go on with what is Project 2025?
Sure. Project 2025 is not a single document, law, or political proposal. It is a comprehensive strategy, a roadmap authored primarily by the Heritage Foundation and its network of conservative think tanks, legal scholars, and former government officials. This strategy seeks to overhaul the American federal government, not through revolution, but through the systematic repurposing of its internal mechanics. At its core, Project 2025 is about control over institutions, narratives, and ultimately over the identity of the United States itself. Let me turn the page. And pick up my phone. Okay. The structure of this book reflects this commitment. Each chapter focuses on a thematic pillar of Project 2025, from the reorganization of executive power to the attack on civil rights, and ultimately over the identity of the United States itself. What's happening?
What's happening? And is
Let me read some more and see if it continues to reverb. Let's see. The
thank you,
reorganization
Sarah.
of executive power to the attack on civil rights, environmental policy, the role of religion in government, public education, economic structures, and the manipulation of information. These chapters do not merely summarize, they analyze. They trace the logical outcomes of specific proposals, connect those outcomes to historical precedents, and pose critical questions that any engaged reader should be asking. To reinforce comprehension and reflection, each chapter concludes with a concept map. These maps are not mere visual aids, they are tools for seeing how power is intended to be concentrated, redirected, or dismantled. They help the reader retain the larger picture while navigating the details. The point is not just to inform, but to equip. The guide also understands the modern information environment. In an age of distraction, speed, and saturation, clarity becomes a form of resistance. You will find no clickbait here, no speculation designed to provoke outrage without substance. Instead, you will find analysis grounded in publicly available documents, verified statements, and legal frameworks. When we interpret or project outcomes, we do so transparently and based on logic, not ideology. We also recognize that information alone is not enough. That is why this guide does not end with analysis. It ends with action. The final chapter, Resistance, What You Can Still Do, is not an afterthought. It is the reason this book was written. Knowledge
Constance,
has
I
lived.
feel like you skipped a page or something.
Yeah, you're not, I'm, I
I'm sorry.
missed something.
Okay. Well, when my phone dropped, I may have, let's see.
We were at over the identity of the United States itself. And
Uh,
then you turned the page, and after that, you lost me.
the public face of Project 2025
There you, there we go.
is that okay? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
The public face of Project 2025 is a multi-part initiative that includes a presidential transition project, a mandate for leadership document, and an extensive coalition of policy operatives and advocacy groups. Together, these components amount to a preemptive strike on the federal bureaucracy. They aim to create a scenario in which, upon taking office, a sympathetic president can immediately execute a sweeping agenda without needing to build consensus, pass legislation, or adhere to institutional norms. At over 900 pages, the mandate for leadership is a granular and prescriptive manual. It outlines how every federal agency should be restructured to serve a new ideological mission. This includes the Department of Justice, the Department of Education, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the Department of Health and Human Services, among others. The document does not merely suggest reforms, it details who should be hired, which policies should be scrapped, and how federal regulations can be reversed or nullified. It is a blueprint not just for governing, but for ideological capture. To understand Project 2025, one must see it as both a political and cultural endeavor. Politically, it envisions a centralized executive power with limited checks from Congress or the judiciary. Culturally, it reflects a movement to restore a specific vision of America, one rooted in a nostalgic and exclusionary reading of history. The America imagined by Project 2025 is not pluralistic. It is hierarchical, traditionalist, and often theocratic in tone. Its authors argue that the federal government has grown too large, too unaccountable, and too detached from the people. But their solution is not democratization, it is consolidation. They propose dismantling civil service protections to allow the mass firing of nonpartisan government employees and their replacement with political loyalists. They recommend rewriting internal agency rules to prioritize executive discretion over scientific expertise. They call for rolling back civil rights protections under the pretext of religious freedom or parental control. In essence, Project 2025 is a manifesto for executive supremacy. It reframes democracy not as a balancing act among institutions, but as an instrument of mandate, where elections serve not to represent the people broadly, but to empower a winner takes all restructuring of governance. In this framework, compromise is weakness, dissent is sabotage, and independence is obstruction. It is important to recognize that this project did not emerge in a vacuum. It is a product of decades of policy incubation within conservative circles, particularly those disillusioned by what they perceive as a drift toward secularism, multiculturalism, and bureaucratic inertia. The legacy of the Reagan era Heritage Foundation and its successors looms large in this context. What distinguishes Project 2025 is its timing and precision. It is not a philosophical treatise, but an operational document ready to be executed. The project also aligns with recent trends in global politics, where democratically elected leaders have used their mandates to erode democratic norms from within. This includes examples from Hungary, Turkey, and India, nations where constitutional mechanisms were reinterpreted or circumvented to solidify long-term rule. Project 2025 mirrors this trajectory, emphasizing legalism as a tool for radical change. Its danger lies not in its extremity, but in its plausibility. Supporters of the project claim that it will restore accountability and limit government overreach, but analysis of the proposals reveals something more aggressive, an intent to dominate the narrative, rewrite the regulatory landscape, and redefine citizenship along narrow ideological lines. This is not just about smaller government, it is about a different kind of government altogether. There is also an economic dimension to consider. The project proposes massive deregulation, tax reductions for the wealthiest individuals and corporations, and an erosion of an environmental and labor protections. It frames these measures as necessary to unleash prosperity, but history shows that such policies often deepen inequality and reduce public welfare. The vision here is one of accelerated capitalism, where the market is king and the state serves primarily to enforce order. Technologically, Project 2025 expresses hostility toward institutions that have historically served as neutral arbiters of truth, academic institutions, public broadcasters, and even segments of the federal bureaucracy that rely on scientific consensus. The project seeks to reorient these institutions to serve political ends or, failing that, to dismantle them entirely. This approach reflects a broader distrust of expertise unless it is ideologically aligned. Ultimately, Project 2025 is a doctrine of transformation. It is not content with influencing the the political process. It seeks to redefine the framework in which politics is conducted. It does so by exploiting legal loopholes, mobilizing private networks, and preparing detailed transition plans that bypass traditional democratic deliberation. The goal is not to win a political argument. The goal is to ensure that the argument itself becomes irrelevant. This guide treats Project 2025 not as a theoretical threat, but as a practical one. Its architects are experienced, well-funded, and determined. Its language is clear. Its implications are profound. Understanding what Project 2025 is and what it is not is the first step in confronting it. This book will continue to unpack the components of the project, examine its origins, trace its supporters, and map its potential consequences. If Project 2025 succeeds, it will not do.
But they can't hear me. Tell me what you need.
If Project 2025 succeeds, it will not do so through brute force. It will succeed through structure, planning, and the failure of its opponents to take it seriously. This is why this chapter and this book exists. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just, it just captures everything we've experienced for the last 11 months,
I do. All right, y'all. Does anyone have anything they want to say at the moment? Does any of that?
I do want to say something. Again, it kind of expands on what I said earlier before I read that, we can see how all of this has been playing out over the last since January 20th. And we, we have been led to believe that this is, in fact, the new America, that this is the way America is going to reform itself, recast itself. And there is nothing we could do about it, all based on 1.5% of the vote that he gained over Kamala Harris. But I think what Tuesday told us is that this is not accepted. This is not accepted by most of America. We can see that now. So the, you know, game is on. The game is on. And I think, you know, Americans from coast to coast, literally, it came out and said, no, we don't like this guy and we don't like what he's doing and we're not going to stand for it. So
Exactly.
more to come.
More to come. And I hear you. I hear you, Denise. I too have the fear, but we're here to get prepared. Okay? That's what this is about. We are here to get prepared so that we know what's coming.
Right.
Christine, you have a question or would you like to read? Ooh, you can, I believe you can. Here we go.
Okay. Okay. I'm unmuted. No,
Yeah.
I have a comment and I'll read. I don't have the book, so I can't read.
Oh, okay.
So when we talk about this guy, Trump, he's not smart enough to put this together.
Of course not.
This is put together by the other powers and the other brains. And I think that's another thing that needs to be put out there for the Republicans who are following Trump, is that he is following somebody else's plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Good luck. That's all. I just have that comment.
Oh,
Yeah.
He is the tip of their spear. And this has been in the works from, suggested since Reagan. Reagan was sort of a benign figure, but he started some things that weren't so benign. The unitary presidential theory, and, you know, apparently a lot of ideas, you know, ensconced in Project 2025 ultimately. But, um, you know, again, they assume because Trump won by 1.5% or 1.125%, although he did win the, you know, the swing states. He interpreted that as a mandate, and he gave the impression that everybody else needs to think of it as a mandate,
well, we don't.
and we don't have to think of it as a mandate.
What we need to do is remind everyone that they have the right to refuse it and refuse it loudly.
Exactly.
Um, Dr. Chris, I believe, did we change it to
They
where we have to?
somebody muted us. Yeah, so I was just going to clarify that the Heritage Foundation has been around since the 80s, maybe even the late 70s. They had their genesis. They started right here in the deep red state of Texas. And so this has been in the works for quite some time. It kind of has its infancy in the fallout from the civil rights movement. And you know, so there's definitely a racial background to, you know, this initiative. It's also rooted a lot in Christian nationalism. So yeah, so Trump just happened to be the one in place. Had it been any person that won, the GOP winner was intended to implement this agenda. So and they did it kind of Project 2025 light, if you will, in Trump 1.0, you know, meaning that this plan has been under development, under construction, engineered for decades, just waiting for the moment, and they found it with Trump.
Would you like to read the next section?
I probably should not because I have a meeting that's starting in 15 minutes.
Oh, I forgot. I forgot. I forgot.
Yeah.
You were correct. I forgot. My bad. Miss
worries.
Ari, you have a
Hi,
question?
I didn't want to read anything. I just wanted to comment on the Heritage Foundation that
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Chris was talking about. As some of you know, I used to work at the MacArthur Foundation and I retired from running the Field Foundation here in Illinois. But the Heritage Foundation started in the 70s, like the early mid 70s. They were smaller then, but their intent was not only, it was concentrated on wealth. It was one of what they wanted to do was protect the wealth of the very wealthy, so that they would not have to be taxed, or their original framework was to create a foundation And you can say, well, you're multi-millions of dollars and never be taxed for anything. And that's what they did. And every Republican president since their creation in the mid 70s, I think like 73, has adopted some form of which the Heritage Foundation had established. What they did with Project 2025 is put it all on the table.
Mm.
And I can say, because in Illinois, the MacArthur Foundation was founded shortly after the starting of, and at that time it became the second largest foundation in the country next to the Ford Foundation. And the son of John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur, Rod MacArthur, sued his parents for creating the foundation. And I was in law school then, and I wanted to go, wait, what the heck? Why is it, why is he? This is a great thing. But Rod MacArthur, who later founded his own civil rights foundation, the Justice Foundation, said that his parents' intent was to follow the Heritage Foundation, that it was not an intent to give money away for others. It was an intent to concentrate wealth, to hold on to it and not be taxed. And I was hired as the first African American program officer because he sued them, and they had to show that they weren't going to do what they had really started out to do. So Dr. Chris is right about the classism and racism. But again, it was called the Fund for Neighborhood Initiatives that started at the MacArthur Foundation because of the lawsuit that Rod MacArthur had against his parents. So just a little history of they've been around a long time, and Republican presidents, each one of them has adopted some form of what they stood for. But again, with Project 2025, it's all on the table.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Ari. Yes. That all right. Miss Christine, here you go. Thank you.
Okay, so the thing that I forgot to say is, so Trump during the campaign or after he was elected, when people are asking about Project 2025, he said, I don't really know much about it. I didn't read it. Again, one time he may have told the truth. He's just a pawn. And if all the Trump lovers find out that he's a pawn, that's going to change. That's going to change things. And that's what, oh, I don't know, advertising, the news. If this kind of information can get out there that he's just a pawn.
Well, actually, I mean, the way that, again, yes, the news, but they don't really trust any of our kind of news now, do they? So the way that it'll get to them is by really like friends or,
Bots.
Right.
oh,
Or
go
yeah,
ahead.
I know. There are advertisements that have been put together that just don't. But somehow the communication needs to get out to the Trump followers, those who are not serious Republicans, they're Trump followers, that he's a pawn, that he's being used by the powers that be, the mega, well, they're billionaires. Somehow, if that can get out to the people that voted for him, I don't know how, but if they can understand that he's not calling the shots.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And Patrice, are you ready for your next? Do you have the section, How to Read This Guide, Simplicity,
can.
Clarity, and Action?
I cannot open it, Cecilia. So if somebody else wants to continue reading, I'd appreciate it. But I do want to make a comment if I can, under 2 minutes. Thank you. And let us not forget the predecessor of this Project 2025, I believe also is the Powell memo. For those of you that might know about Judge Powell's memo that he wrote in August of 1971. And he wrote it to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce shortly before being nominated to the Supreme Court. And what that memo did was it urged American business leaders to organize politically, fund conservative think tanks, influence media, and educate to defend free enterprise. The previous person was talking about, the money aspect. Ideas that became the foundation for much of the corporate political strategy right now. And what happened, think about it, those of you that were around back then, we had the civil rights going on. We had typewriters being flung out of windows at Berkeley. We had all those protests on campus. We had the Vietnam War. And remember the word anti-establishment? This was the first time. Think about the World War II generation. Nobody ever saw young hippies with their tattered jeans and long hair in the streets by droves. And I think that freaked them out. And so he said, let's go after them. And labor unions was their first place. So I just wanted to share. It's a very interesting story if anybody wants to read about it. Thanks.
It is. It is. And Dark Brandon has a great short cartoon about it too. So if you search Dark Brandon and the Powell memo, it's a good one. All right, Melissa, I see you have the project. That is a great short read. If anybody go,
Yeah, and I was thinking that that was the right book because I bought it up here, but I think I have the wrong book too. I was
you
going to
have
offer
the
to
wrong
read, but
book.
yeah, so which is the one we're reading is sounds like it
We're
sounds great,
reading
but
Project 2025. How are you? You are in all of our girl.
I know. Well,
You're
that's what
killing
I
me.
thought it was because I thought it was David Graham, but it's not. Who is it?
It's Randy Allen Walker. It's okay,
Okay,
honey.
I'll find it. But anyway, sounds really great. And I mean, it is very informative for us to kind of um, prepare after the fact for this onslaught and go for vision forward. I think it tells
Yeah,
us what we need
guys,
to.
we are running out of time. I'm all for like talking. I love all of you. I do, but we're running out of time. We gotta go through this. We're supposed to read through it. I need I want someone to offer to read this section. How to read this guide, simplicity, clarity, and action. I see Constance raising her physical hand. So I'm gonna
I just want to say, am I muted or not?
No, you
Okay.
unmuted yourself. Although I am
Okay.
going to call on Hannah after you read this section.
I'm reading this with my old glasses because my new glasses haven't arrived yet. So that's why I stumble over some words a little bit. But
We
I'm
love you,
wondering
Hannah.
if I can read maybe to the middle to the part where in this way the book is meant to function.
Yeah,
If I could read that far and then
yeah,
someone else could take over.
yes. I'll
Okay,
have, and then Beth M can take over from there.
fantastic. All right. How to read this guide: simplicity, clarity, and action.
Hannah, no?
Hannah has a question. She'll be, I believe she does, doesn't she? Or she has a comment. I'm putting words in her mouth. I'm assuming.
Does Hannah have a comment?
She has a question.
Okie dokie.
Oh, hi everybody. It's Hannah from Lindenhurst, New York. Just no, it's not important. You are running out of time. I'll wait for another time for this question. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
You're welcome. All right, go ahead, Constance.
This guide is not written for insiders, political operatives, or scholars alone. It is written for citizens concerned, curious, or alarmed, who sense that something fundamental is shifting in American public life, but may lack the time or resources to navigate hundreds of pages of policy documents. The purpose of this guide is to make sense of the complex, to demystify the technical, and to transform passive concern into active and understanding. In the pages that follow, you will not encounter jargon for its own sake. Each chapter is designed to be self-contained and direct, using plain language to explain what Project 2025 proposes, who is behind it, how it would be implemented, and what consequences it would likely have. The goal is not simplification through oversimplification, but clarity without condensation. I almost doubled the pages again. Okay. The structure of the book reflects this commitment. Each chapter focuses on a thematic pillar of Project 2025, from the reorganization of executive power to the attack on civil rights, environmental policy, the role of religion in government, public education, economic structures, and the manipulation of information. These chapters do not merely summarize, they analyze. They trace the logical outcomes of specific proposals, connect those outcomes um, to historical precedents, and pose critical questions that any engaged reader should be asking. To reinforce comprehension and reflection, each chapter concludes with a concept map. These maps are not mere visual aids, they are tools for seeing how power is intended to be concentrated, redirected, or dismantled. They help the reader retain the larger picture while navigating the details. The point is not just to inform, but to equip. The guide also understands the modern information environment. In an age of distraction, speed, and saturation, clarity becomes a form of resistance. You will find no clickbait here, no speculation designed to provoke outrage without substance. Instead, you will find analysis grounded in publicly available documents, verified statements, and legal frameworks. When we interpret or project outcomes, we do so transparently and based on logic, not ideology. We also recognize that information is not enough. That is why this guide does not end with analysis. It ends with action. The final chapter, Resistance, What You Can Still Do, is not an afterthought. It is the reason this book was written. Knowledge must lead to strategy, and strategy must lead to behavior. Civic literacy is the 21st century. In the 21st century is not just about voting or protesting. It is about understanding how systems work, where they are vulnerable, and how they can be defended. In this way, the book is meant to function on three levels.
Thank you.
Okay.
Rebecca, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I was going to offer to read another chunk.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Okay. In a way, this book is meant to function on three levels: as a decoder, translating the bureaucratic and legalese language of Project 2025 into plain, accessible information that any reader can engage with, regardless of prior political experience or academic background. Two, as a diagnostic, identifying where democratic institutions are being threatened or manipulated, and explaining the potential impacts of proposed policy shifts on real people, communities, and public life. Three, as a defense manual, not in the militaristic sense, but in the civic one, offering frameworks for awareness, resistance, and constructive response grounded in law, organizing, and education. To read this guide effectively, you do not need to follow the chapters in strict order. While each section builds on the previous one, readers can start with the areas that matter most to them, be it civil rights, education, environmental policy, or the role of the media. Each chapter will stand alone in terms of context, but together they build a coherent portrait of what is at stake. This guide is also designed to be a living resource. The issues it covers are not frozen in time. They evolve with political developments, legal battles, and public discourse. While the facts presented here are current at the time of publication, we encourage readers to remain vigilant, to follow reputable sources, and to engage in continuous learning. Democracy, like health, is not maintained through a single act, but through sustained attention. We are aware that subject matter is heavy. Reading this book may be unsettling at times. That discomfort is not accidental. It is a signal, a sign that the stakes are real. But discomfort should never lead to despair. The goal is not paralysis, but preparedness. Clarity is the first line of defense. Finally, we want to acknowledge that not all readers will agree with the interpretations in this guide. That is expected. But disagreement, when based on a shared set of facts and an honest commitment to democratic norms, is not a threat. It is a strength. What is dangerous is not dissent, it is distortion. And this guide exists to make that distinction clearer. So read it not as a manifesto, but as a map. Use it to orient yourself in a rapidly changing political landscape, to teach others. Use it to ask better questions. And above all, use it to act, because the future being written is not yet sealed, and the time to shape it is now.
Thank you very much. Okie doke. Let's see. We have one final. I'll read this. All right. Methodology, sources, verification, and editorial ethics. In a time of increasing distrust toward institutions, media, and even facts themselves, the credibility of any analytical work depends on its transparency. This guide has been constructed with rigorous attention to accuracy, fairness, and verifiability. The topic at hand, Project 2025, demands nothing less. The stakes are high, the narratives are contested, and the potential for manipulation is ever present. For that reason, this chapter outlines how information in this book was gathered, assessed, and presented. The first and primary source for this guide is the official documentation produced by the Project 2025 Coalition. This includes the Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise Manual, press releases, affiliated organizational materials, speeches by key figures, and public interviews with project contributors. These are publicly available and, where appropriate, directly cited or paraphrased in context. When a statement or policy is analyzed, it originates from the project's own materials unless otherwise specified. We have deliberately avoided relying on secondary commentary or partisan opinion pieces as primary evidence. While such content can be insightful in understanding the broader discourse around Project 2025, it is not the foundation upon which this guide rests. Instead, we emphasize original documents, official platforms, and statements made by those directly involved in the project. This methodological choice is essential to maintaining intellectual integrity and ensuring that readers can independently verify key claims. To supplement the primary sources, we have consulted legal analyses, academic literature, historical comparisons, and investigative journalism that meet professional standards of sourcing and editorial rigor. These include publications from peer-reviewed journals, nonpartisan policy institutes, and reputable investigative media outlets. Where necessary, references are contextualized within the text to avoid the impression of unsupported interpretation. Every effort has been made to maintain editorial neutrality in tone and language, even while addressing highly controversial subjects. This does not mean false equivalence. When a policy threatens democratic norms, violates institutional principles, or mirrors historical patterns of authoritarianism, the guide identifies it as such. However, these judgments are always accompanied by reasoning, not rhetoric. When projecting potential outcomes of Project 2025 proposals, we rely on evidence-based forecasting. For example, if a proposal recommends eliminating a specific federal agency or changing civil service protections, we assess the consequences based on historical precedent, legal context, and practical implications, not on speculative political fears. We avoid what-if scenarios detached from available data. The future is uncertain, but consequences often have patterns, and this guide is built to help recognize those patterns before they become realities. In cases where ambiguity exists, where a policy's wording is vague or open to multiple interpretations, we present those ambiguities honestly. We do not assume the worst interpretation unless there is evidence to support it. However, we also avoid naive readings that dismiss obvious implications. Where possible, we provide multiple readings of a proposal and explain the reasoning behind each one. Readers are thus invited into the analytical process, not merely presented with conclusions. This guide also adheres to a strict code of editorial ethics. Factual integrity. All claims must be verifiable through credible sources. Assertions without support are excluded or clearly framed as opinion or speculation. Nonpartisanship. This book critiques ideas and actions, not political affiliations or personal identities. The focus is on democratic principles and institutional health, not party politics. Civic responsibility. Information is presented with the goal of constructive engagement. While the guide may provoke concern or even outrage, it avoids incitement, hyperbole, or calls for aggression. Its purpose is to inform, not to inflame. Transparency of method. The reader has the right to understand how conclusions were reached. Where analysis occurs, it is clearly distinguished from direct fact reporting. Interpretations are grounded in explicit logic. Accountability. If factual errors are discovered, they are to be corrected in future editions or digital updates. Accuracy is not assumed, it is maintained. In addition to the sources consulted during the writing of this guide, we also encourage readers to consult additional materials on their own. Independent inquiry is the cornerstone of democratic vigilance. We offer a curated list of resources in the appendix for those who wish to explore the politics, institutions, and histories referenced in these pages more deeply. Finally, it is important to recognize the limitations of any work of this nature. No book can cover every angle, foresee every scenario, or resolve every question. This guide is not a substitute for civic action, legal expertise, or policy advocacy. It is a foundation. It is meant to inform a broader movement of awareness, resistance, and defense against the erosion of democratic institutions. By laying bare the structure, ambitions, and risks of Project 2025, this book aims not to dictate a response, but to demand one. It empowers through clarity. It mobilizes through information. It respects the intelligence of the reader by making visible what those in power may hope remains obscured. This is how we fight confusion, by replacing it with documentation. This is how we resist manipulation, by prioritizing truth over comfort. And this is how we defend democracy, not with slogans, but with method. Yeah.
Hey.
So that is the introduction to. Okay, and that I saw in the chat we were having some and of course we some people got the wrong book. Okay, first of all, Melissa, I'm sorry I had to move on because we also want to read from our other book. But we got the Project 2025 Survival Guide. Now, in the chat, we were also talking about two authors. Now, the reason why there are two authors with this book is because this is the survive. It's based on the 900-page original. The author of the original is for some reason um put with this book on Amazon. That's why you see his name. Okay. It's not Randy Allen Walker. Now, Randy Allen Walker is who wrote, I believe, the survival guide, if I'm not mistaken, Beth. Because
Yes.
yes. So that's 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 who we're reading right now.
I thought Kevin Roberts wrote the original mandate.
That's right. Kevin Roberts wrote the 900-page original that we are not doing a book club of, y'all.
Correct. Correct.
So, Hannah. Oh, nope, that's Hannah. You have a see, I'm I'm remembering. Hannah has the pink rooster.
Yes. I was just gonna say, I wasn't sure if I understood what you meant with the James Hunter thing, because it's listed where the author's name is on the other editions. That's why I was a little weirded out by it. Because it has James Hunter where it has Randy Allen Walker on the other editions. I'm not
Okay.
sure. I don't know. I did find information on James Hunter, and that's a legit person. So maybe that's the actual author's name. And they were like, okay, well, if you look up this person, it's going to look like this is me. And, I
But
don't want to
that's
take, you know what I mean?
well, I promise you it's not him. Like he's not it's Randy Allen Walker, but his name's on here.
There
Um
are
there are
other books that look exactly like it, but it's not the survival guide.
Well, it's on the same Amazon page if you click on Kindle edition.
oh,
It's the
maybe that's
same
right.
page. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And all right. And maybe
It
I
says
don't
Randy Allen Walker on Kindle on my page.
I don't
Do you
maybe
see it
it,
on the picture?
on what picture?
The picture of the cover.
Um
There's no,
what I'm sorry, what are you talking about?
Oh, at the top it does say James Hunter.
If I could, the only way to differentiate this intelligently to me is we compare what are called ISBN, as
And
in
number,
Nancy
yep, the
numbers.
ISBN.
Everybody compare their ISBNs.
Okay.
Cecelia, you read out the ISBN that needs to be the one we're working from, and we
Okay.
can. It's been a great warm-up session, I think, because we needed to work out all of these details. So I think that's magnificent. I
Uh
have, yeah, ISB. If you can drop, I mean, I'll be happy to drop it in the chat if you want to just read it out.
it is 979-828-740-2716.
6 979-828-740-2716.
Bingo.
All right. So now we all gonna know what book we're reading. Now, what I found might be true is that Amazon may label something in order to sell it. So I don't get into discussions about Amazon, but there may be, based on your reseller, some confusion too. But the ISBN should help us unless Amazon has repackaged
They
it.
also have a podcast included. We also might come to find they have more than one author of a same book. If they have multiple people on the podcast, we might find a lot of things. Hi, Melissa. Go ahead.
Hi, I was going to say why buy on Amazon, but is it available anywhere else besides
It's
Amazon?
not. And the
Mm.
reason we had to buy, yes, I know, we are all boycotting Amazon. The reason that we had to buy this book on Amazon is because we can't find it anywhere else. The only other place that we found it is on eBay, and it was much higher priced on eBay. Um,
So now you all
and
own collector's editions.
what I have found is many times authors get into the trap of having to publish on Amazon in order to publish, and sometimes, and again, this was just a really good book. That was why I didn't want to have to read the 900 pages. I'm going to admit it to you all right now. That's why I chose
Oh,
this
me
book.
too. Yeah. No, I think that's great. And it sounds wonderful. It's just now I have to decide if I want to buy from Amazon.
I know. And again, you don't have to purchase the book. I completely understand. I um I have a slide share about self-care that I no longer want to share with y'all. I would just like to read from Lessons from Cats for Surviving Fascism, if y'all don't mind. Because it's a little bit of self-care. And nobody else has to read. It'll just be me. And if anybody has any, so what this is called Lessons from Cats for Surviving Fascism by Stuart Brittlestar Reynolds, Melissa. And this is the second book that we are going to be reading in this book club. And it is pretty much based on Tyranny by Timothy Snyder. Chapter 1. Stay nimble and unpredictable. Cats never let anyone know where they'll be next, and neither should you. Fascism thrives on predictability. Confuse it by unexpectedly launching onto the backside of a chair, then rappelling down the curtains. Cats are masters of unpredictability. 1 minute they're curled up on the couch, radiating serenity, and the next they are perched up on top of your fridge, judging you for your life choices. You've made terrible choices, and cats know it. Surely you can turn the tables and attempt to apply some judgment on them. No, you can't, you idiot. Another terrible choice. Their secret? They never let you know their next move. It's a strategy we can all use, especially against fascists, who, let's face it, aren't exactly the brightest bulbs in the Mar-a-Lago chandelier. Fascists thrive on predictability because their entire system is built on the illusion of control. They like to imagine themselves as chess masters. But in reality, they're more like toddlers playing checkers, eating more pieces than they move, and insisting the rules change whenever they lose, right? Their big weakness, they can't handle surprises. Nothing derails a fascist faster than something that isn't in the Project Idiot handbook. So, be like the cat. Leap wildly from the couch to the bookshelf. Not because it makes sense, but because it doesn't. Fascists hate that. They'll stand there, red-faced and sputtering, going, wait! Why are they on the bookshelf? No one's supposed to be on the bookshelf. Their entire strategy is based on assumptions. And when those assumptions don't pan out, they're left scratching their heads like they just tried to use MAGA as today's Wordle and can't figure out why the enter button doesn't seem to work. And it doesn't take much to throw them off. Start a pottery class. Host a 3 a.m. ukulele jam session. Show up to their rally dressed as a lobster, handing out pamphlets titled Fascism, Not Even Once. They'll be too busy trying to decode your motives to remember what they were even trying to control in the first place. Fascists, bless their black little hearts, also aren't great at nuance. They think in straight lines and clear categories, which is why they can't handle anything outside the box. Or inside of it, if you're a cat. By simply refusing to behave predictably, you're sending them into a meltdown. Wait, they were supposed to be in the park protesting. Why are they painting murals of tap dancing penguins on abandoned warehouses? It, is this resistance? Yes. Yes, dear leader, it is, and you'll never understand it. At the end of the day, your unpredictability isn't just a tactic, it's a statement. Fascists want the world to be dull, gray, and easily managed. Cats know better. They know life is best lived as a series of bold leaps, questionable decisions, and a healthy dose of chaos. So channel your inner feline, confuse the fascists, and if all else fails, knock over a few vases off their metaphorical tables. They'll never see it coming.
Mm.
All right. Got room for one more? Chapter 2. Never lose your nap time. Cats underestimate something that fascists never, or cats, excuse me, I'm sorry. Cats understand something that fascists never will. Rest is not weakness. It's strategy. While fascists are busy running around, barking orders like, ew, dogs, and trying to micromanage the world into submission, cats are stretched out in a sunbeam, storing energy for their next great act of defiance. Whether it's another daring vault to the top of the fridge, or the overthrow of a corrupt regime. Fascists, bless their brittle egos, don't get this at all. They thrive on forcing people to overwork, overthink, and overworry. It's all part of their plan. Keep you too tired to resist, too frazzled to fight back, y'all. That y'all was me. But here's the thing they don't expect. Naps. Sweet, glorious naps. Nothing confounds a fascist more than someone who looks them dead in the eye and says, "You know what I think? You know what? I think I'm going to take a nap and deal with you later." Cats are masters of this. They know there's no point in wasting energy on nonsense. Sure, a cat could run around all day trying to swat every injustice, but they know the real battles are the ones worth conserving energy for. Like chasing the terrifying dot of a laser pointer or knocking over your drink to make a point. You don't see cats burning themselves out, fighting every leaf that blows by. Fascists, however, spend their lives panicking over metaphorical leaves, trying to legislate against things like joy and creativity. They're the kind of people who would lose a debate to a houseplant. A delicious houseplant. Your nap isn't just rest, it's rebellion. It's telling the fascists, no, I will not grind myself into exhaustion to fit into your ridiculous schedule. I will, however, stretch luxuriously in this path of sunlight and gather my strength for the moment when I outwit you with one well-timed act of brilliance. That brilliance could be organizing a protest, writing a scathing satirical article, or simply showing up well rested and unbothered, an absolute nightmare for someone whose power depends on you being too tired to think straight. Fascists hate rest because they don't understand it. They believe in constant productivity by you, not them, even if it produces absolutely nothing. If you told a fascist that naps were essential for productivity, they'd short circuit trying to figure out how to regulate your weird woke REM cycles. Meanwhile, cats, they'd just yawn, settle in for another round of beauty sleep, and pounce when the time was right. So take a page from the feline playbook. Nap unapologetically. Rest strategically. Let the fascists exhaust themselves with their angry yelling and PowerPoint presentations about how naps are subversive, while they're debating whether sleep should be outlawed. You'll be fully recharged and ready to take them down with the precision of a cat pawing one of those feather on a stick things. Because at the end of the day, rest isn't just self-care, it's resistance. And nothing terrifies a fascist more than someone who's wide awake, well rested, and ready to strike. Bam. Man, I love this book.
It's great.
All right. So,
Cecelia, would you tell us the title again? Just because.
Lessons from Cats for Surviving Fascism by Stuart Brittlestar Reynolds. It is
ISBN number?
ISBN number is 978-1 5387 7800
Beautiful.
dash
Thank
5.
you.
Yeah. When that first came out, I was like, I need to get that book. But okay, so now that we have our books set like sorted and we have yes, Thrift Books does have it for but yes.
Thrift Books has it.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. This one is much easier to find. I have to admit. Okay, yes. Also, so next week we're going to be going over the first two chapters of Project 2025 next week. So read the first, if you have the book, go over and read. We will try to make, we'll try to make them available. We'll try to make the chapters available on Discord. If we are able to do that, right? We're going to try to do that, right? I don't know. I thought we were going to try. We'll do our best. And where was my Ruby? Yes, Ruby, she she was here and then she left when I started reading vociferously. Um and my other kitties are Giovanni, who Ruby is over there now. And Giovanni, I'm not sure where he is right now. And our little kitten is Chablis, and I have no clue where she is right now, to be honest. And yeah, Ruby likes to come and snuggle right about now for some reason. I honestly think she likes to be on camera. She's a little bit of a ham. So, yeah, y'all, this has been lovely. Next week, if you does anybody have any questions, or because I know we had a lot of questions.
I have a question or two to ask if anybody wants to chat about the Project 2025 book. Um,
Hannah, wait, real quick though, Hannah, yeah, what was your question? Ooh, hold on. Can you unmute? There you go.
Oh, yeah. Just two real quick things. And we don't have to answer it now, just for food for thought. Did Stephen Miller have any role in the authoring of Project 2025? That's the first thing. And then
yes.
the
Yes.
second, yes, okay. And then the second one was I heard there was another guy involved, another young guy. And I heard the interview about this guy on NPR. And he has a following, and it wasn't Charlie Kirk, it was somebody else. So I
Was
don't
it
know if
Newhouse
anybody.
or uh not Newhouse? Newhouse. How do you say his last name?
Yeah, that guy, something like that.
Yeah, he just quit.
Yeah.
Yes, I heard that as well. And he got upset. I was actually intrigued by that split. He was I look forward to seeing how that goes. We'll be talking about him in the near future. You don't worry. His name will come up again.
Okay. Okay.
I know who you're
Great.
talking
Thanks.
about. Melissa. Yes, ma'am.
So Russell Vogt, he was a
That's
member
not
of
who
it.
she's talking about right now. This is a different younger man. But yes, Russell Vogt was definitely involved and heavily, and both the first administration, second administration, and d-
And Project
deeply,
2025.
and Project 2025. Yes, yes.
Yes. And I
He's
did not know Stephen Miller was at that level with Heritage Foundation. So I was surprised. I don't know, is he definitely involved in writing it or just in enacting it?
enacting it. I know that he was involved in the legalese part of it, in the
He helped found it or did the money. He raised
money.
money for it.
Yes,
Um,
and
America First Legal,
le-
$44 million.
yeah.
That's very helpful. Thanks.
All right, Beth, what your question? We had a couple of questions to ponder.
Yeah, so I just wondered, so did the introduction make anybody feel more anxious or more empowered or both? I know some people said it was scary,
Yeah. All right.
um,
Amy S got anxious and
even though that
oh
we're
my God.
already halfway through it.
Gotcha. Knowledge is power. Okay. Yeah. So we got a couple. I hear you. Couple. Little bit about pissed.
That's,
I know, but we'll see you later, Miss Ari. Have a good night.
I don't, this is just a question that AI brought up, but how does Walker's framing of survival expand beyond physical preparedness? Like, I would say we have to be, like tight knit, like together, like, you know what I mean?
Melissa thinks AI is out to lunch on that question. Well, here's the thing. I think this offers, I'm sorry, Ellen. You go ahead.
Yeah, just makes me feel empowered to that we're reading this as a group. I think it's a great idea for organizers to read this book, and I'm looking forward to buying it and getting the action. But it's a wonderful idea to read and actually read it aloud. That warms my heart, and hearing
We
you
might
talk.
not end up reading the entire thing aloud, but we'll definitely read majority of it aloud we're working through it, that's for sure. Yeah.
It
Uh,
comforts me that it really is well written, and it does describe it as a like fascist operation, kind of, which comforts me rather than me just kind of like, I think it
right.
frames it correctly, and then we can plan our strategy and actions.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you. Yes, Constance. What do you
Well, as a retired English teacher, I would just say that, putting words around thoughts helps you understand something better than if you just had the impression or the thought without the words. It helps you control your understanding better and control your reactions, I think, to that understanding. So that's what it at least does for me. Um, knowledge is power, and the more we know about something and have uh, the words around that understanding, we can, I think, be more effective in countering it as well.
Yeah.
Clearer, clearer, clearer
I I
process.
I agree. And that's something that I mean, because I what the book that Melissa has is a great book. It's that book, yes, is a great book to read, and it does exactly even that. It helps you get your a good foundation of what to if you haven't read Project 2025, like taken the time to read the entire thing because it is huge, it's very long and it's very boring.
Meant to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, but it helps you understand it and where what they did and how they did it. um but this one, the reason I wanted this, y'all, is because like they said, it's meant to be a reference. It's so we will be able to utilize it for our groups, so we'll
Hmm.
be able to like update it, and continue to
Hmm.
update it and be able to utilize it. All right. We are past time. Not I apologize. We've taken up a majority of your time, and I want to respect that. Y'all, thank you so much. Um, you're such a kind audience, and I appreciate you more and more as we continue this. Thank you for allowing me to revisit my prose days and having good times with that. I look forward to reading more and just be kind to yourselves. We need to take better care of ourselves in 2026. That's all of our New Year's resolutions. I'm making it for all of us. We are going to take self-care seriously next year. Okay. I love each and every one of you, and thank you so, so much for this tasty soup today. It was so good. And we'll be back next week at 5 o'clock at Thursday. Do we have anything else going on tonight? Does anybody know? I don't
Well,
think
we don't, but
we don't.
somebody just left for red wine and blue
Yeah.
something.
Red wine and blue does. Okay. But otherwise we will see you all tomorrow morning for coffee and conversation, bright and early. And yeah. So have a lovely night. We'll see y'all later. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. So you get that, and Stephanie, did you turn off the? I can't hear you, babe.
Oh, you mean I have to unmute? Bill,
Yeah.
we either stop the meeting or Bill comes back because that is a admin password feature. So we're going to stop the meeting. I'm going to message him first, let him know that we're done, and we're going to go from there. How's that?
All right. Well, I just want to make, as long
Yeah.
as us just leaving is okay.
Well, you guys all leave. I'll leave this running until I confirm with him. So the worst thing that'll happen is we will end up with a lot of dead space at the end. So I'm going to message him now and find out if, because I don't know that answer. I believe it's going to stop the recording, but since I haven't done that live fire, don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Where did he go again?
Don't know.
How about I just text him and tell him to come right back?
I'm doing that right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do was text him and talk to him about this.
Yeah, I know.
But maybe he has you on a higher priority.
Well, he used to. Just kidding. Whoa. Miss Beulah. Miss Beulah?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, how are you?
All right. I was just listening. I'm eating dinner, so I was listening to
Well,
the
I am happy
discussion.
that you were at our book club.
I'm going to see about getting that book on tape.
Ah, well,
See if they have, see what they have. My background is working with people with disabilities, and um, we many times took. I don't know if you ever heard of Curtis Wall Reader. But we put the books on the machine, and it would scan it, and then you read it back to you. Because I'm more into listening to
Beulah,
books. I like to read.
I worked for the company that made the tapes on what we called frogs back then with four sides that actually had the last contract for the Library of Congress to make sighted books for the or audible books for the blind before audible books were crap for anybody. That is so cool to know
so
about you.
weird.
So that's another avenue for, because then everybody, if you put it on, if we got a book on tape, then everybody can just sit back and listen to it. Nobody had to read it.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm
But
gonna check into it.
I'm the only I love books on tape. I love Audible books and but I like listening and seeing the words at the same like while I hear the words because I'm a visual learner. So I like being able to see the words as I hear them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I remember them. I remember things better that way.
See, I'm more auditory than I am visual.
Ah,
So, so I like to listen. I
yes,
listen
ma'am.
to books. I listen to. Probably it seems like it sticks better with me than me trying to read it myself.
And if only we would have known things like that back in the day and I probably just, anyway, yeah.
So
A what
I
did
was
he say?
I apologize.
It's okay. Go ahead.
I was going to say I phoned Bill and he didn't pick up. I'm going to try a second time because sometimes that changes things. So I'm still trying to get a hold of him while you guys are chatting.
Okay, sounds good. Anyway, um, yeah, I wasn't really paying attention. Anyway, I'm glad that you are still that you stuck around. How was your day today? Why did you quiet yourself again? I think she got through. Stephanie talks with her hands. Oh, yes, ma'am. Do you need to unmute? You can unmute. Um, we have the Project 2025 book, but we're also reading the lessons from cats for surviving fascism. We're reading that as for not as for fun. It's as a
Balancing stress reliever.
yeah, because this is heavy. This is light.
So I
And
got in touch with Bill.
I heard, yeah, you
sorry.
talk with you're like me.
If you tied my hands behind my back, I couldn't speak.
I figured as much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that being said, all we have to do is end, which is what I thought. So
Okay.
in fact, by staying on, what we've created is a fascinating YouTube recording. What he likes, he said, is he likes us to close out. So in other words, when we're done, have you say, okay, so now we're going to wrap up, however you phrase it. When's the next meeting going to be? And then we just leave the meeting and it's all good.
Okay.
So going forward, you will know that. And we
Well,
have
technically I
information
did
to
that.
share.
So then
I
they
knew
can
it.
just chop it off right there.
I knew it. I didn't want to be overwhelming in terms of how everything was.
If you knew it, Stephanie, you can tell me those things.
I understand, but I mean, it's hard for me to just say, Cecelia, damn it, I actually know this. We're shutting down the meeting.
No, 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 no. You are allowed to say those things because you are my tech person. You're allowed to say, damn it, Cecelia, I'm your tech person.
I'll work on saying it more politely. When I
Oh,
bounced in with the Hannah thing, I was like, wait, it's like I didn't know then my mic was working. I was like, and they're like, okay, I'm here. All right. So I'm closing the meeting
right, right.
and we're done.
Have a lovely, lovely evening, Miss
Thank you.
Beulah. And you have a lovely, lovely evening, Miss Stephanie. I just love both of you.
Well,